How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about my experience recently playing Wortox. I've gotten an opportunity now to play with him for a few hours, and there are some things that I really like about him, and I'm going to be going over those in a minute. But first, I'm just going to sort of briefly introduce you to Wortox for those who haven't had the opportunity to see this character yet. This is kind of like the first DLC character for Don't Starve Together besides Winona. The difference is that Wortox needs to be purchased or woven. You're not going to get the base character right here for free, and it cannot be acquired through the in-game drop system. At launch, there are 3 additional outfits available besides the default character. That's the Minotaur from the Minotaur collection, the Survivor from the Survivor collection, and probably the most innocent-looking one here. It's kind of like Wortox as a pup. You'll notice that his horns are not nearly as grown out. He's obviously more of a juvenile with that skin. So here I am in game with Wortox, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the attributes of this character to get started with. He has a max of 175 hunger, 150 sanity, and 200 health. He has 3 primary abilities, and pretty much all of them involve these souls. Souls are kind of a unique concept for Wortox here. They do 3 primary things. First off, you can eat them for hunger. So now I have 137 hunger. I can eat this for 18. I think it's almost exactly 18 hunger. But that will also decrease the amount of sanity that I have by a little bit. I forget the exact amount. It's like 5 or 10 or something. So sanity is a problem with this character. The other ability that Wortox has in regards to the souls is probably the one that most people have noticed at this point. It's the ability to release the soul for health. So as you can see, my character healed there by 20 HP. I'm at 99. Drop another one, 119. The thing is, when it comes to souls, they're really pretty easy to acquire. So it's usually not that big of a thing. Winter can be a little bit trickier, but by and large, souls are really easy to acquire. So being able to acquire health this easily makes Wortox a character that is ideal for just sort of fighting and living on the go, right? You don't have to worry about nearly as much prep before getting into altercations because healing is so readily available at such a low cost. That being said, it is currently winter in this world, which makes it a little bit more difficult to acquire souls through more readily available means such as butterflies or bees. So instead, like, you can use birds all the time, right? There is a soul, you get it for killing the bird. The last ability that Wortox has in relationship to the souls as a concept is the ability to soul hop. You'll see this right now, my cursor, wherever I hover it, it mentions right click to soul hop, and I can do this by issuing a single right click. This has functionality that is very similar to the Lazy Explorer. If you've ever used it, the Lazy Explorer is sort of an upgraded version of the walking cane. So soul hop is very much the same, and I'm going to demonstrate it right over here because there is an excellent opportunity to really see some of the value and how this can not only save you time but also save you from very sticky situations at a very low cost. Each individual soul hop will consume 1 soul. So as you can see here, I can't quite get over it. There's a break here between the 2 pieces of land. And normally I'd have to walk all the way around this to get to this side of the peninsula. But here I can go ahead, right click once, and I'm over here. And now that I'm over here, let's get some bees. So killing bees, I find bees and butterflies to be the most reliable sources of souls. And another nice thing about Wortox, I'm getting a good number of souls here. Since each one of these souls is the equivalent of 20 health, I'm much less cautious about fighting because it's really easy to restore health even if I make a mistake and get hit from time to time. Things like fighting spiders as well. So spiders, yeah, I wish there were more spiders in this world at the moment. It's the one thing I'm really missing, but here we go. Here. Oh, there's a moleworm. Let's get that moleworm. Moleworm drops a soul as well. And even during the winter, it's pretty easy to play him as a character. You've got spiders, butterflies, bees, moleworms, all this kind of stuff. And all of them give you souls. You can eat the souls to maintain your hunger. You can drop the souls to regenerate health. And the other thing is that if you've got other players in the game, which I'm going to briefly demonstrate here, you'll heal them as well whenever you drop a soul. Alrighty, here we have 5 Wilsons that I spawned in, and you'll notice that when I release this soul within a certain radius of them, they all enjoy the healing benefits from it, and in addition to me, which makes Wortox a character that I think a lot of people are going to be able to get behind, even if they aren't oh, there's Wilson getting cold. Even if they aren't personally going to benefit from him, he's not going to be necessarily the type of character that people dread to see show up in a server because, oh, he's going to scavenge the entire world and not give back much because he's not as much of a basing character, but instead they'll be thinking about, you know, how valuable this character can come in when it comes to actually being in a boss fight, being able to heal the team. I've personally been in a couple of boss fights involving Wortox, and I've been able to heal like the main tank of the group, Wolfgang. And it works quite well. And I'm just really glad to see that there is this aspect to his character that is more focused around DST. It's not just all me, me, me. It's also you're able to benefit the team, which makes a lot of sense for a character that's exclusive to Don't Starve Together. Now that I've sort of discussed Wortox's benefits, let's talk about some of his downsides. Here's a big one. Pigs are aggressive towards him, as are bunnymen and catcoons, and I think a few other mobs that have the same sort of relationship towards Wortox that they would have with Weber. So you're going to have a much more difficult time using these types of mobs to your benefit, right? And I think, again, this plays sort of into the role this character has as more of an on-the-go over a settled-down base type of character, because, you know, you're not going to be able to use pigmen to help you, you're not going to be able to use bunnymen down below in the caves, and catcoons are just going to be generally annoying towards you. Unlike Weber, though, with Wortox, spiders are not friendly in any way towards you or neutral in any way. You can't befriend them, and I don't think there are any mobs that you can befriend, so you are very much alone out here, aside from the other players who could potentially be on your team. Wortox's other downside, and this is probably the most significant one, is that when eating normal foods, he regains half the amount of stats, be it for hunger, health, or sanity, that a normal character would enjoy. So for example, right here, I'm going to be making a meaty stew. When I eat this meaty stew, I'm only going to get 75 hunger from it instead of 150. So I'll go ahead and eat that. You'll notice I'm only up to 138 hunger, and I just ate something that had 150 normal hunger value. So this is actually going to be a really big deal, because once again, it makes just feeding this character and healing it via the normal methods a lot less viable. You're going to be much more incentivized to use souls for hunger and for health. And of course, when you're eating souls for hunger, it decreases your sanity. So it dropped from 57 to 52. So that's 5 sanity every single time I eat a soul. This can make you insane, and since most of the methods for regaining sanity involve things like food, those are the most reliable, quick ones. Obviously, I'm wearing a tam o'shanter right here, which can help mitigate some of those effects. Probably the most viable long-term method, aside from something like a tent, because even something like a sanity farm is going to be much more difficult for a character like Wortox to use, because Wortox only has half the amount of sanity drain when around enemies. So if you're fighting a boss or you're around evil flowers, you're only going to be experiencing half that sanity drain. And in general, how the sanity farm works is you're wearing a hive hat and you stand above flowers. So that negative sanity aura is usually what's inverted, and it's causing your sanity to regen positively at a pretty decent clip. So for me, I think, having a tent equipped on you for emergencies is going to be a lot more important. The tent itself is going to be much more useful as opposed to foods for regenerating sanity as Wortox. But the good news is that with a couple of mods anyway, being insane pretty much 24/7 isn't all that inconvenient. But I think that's a pretty decent overview of what Wortox does. I think there are some pretty obvious reasons for why I love him. Being down in the caves is absolutely a thrill. You know, you don't have to worry about preparing food or health foods before going down there. He's a little bit like WX in that regard. It's really cool. The ability to telepoof between certain areas and out of very dangerous situations. You can literally outrun things like hounds now using telepoof, or shadow spelunkies. So telepoof, it's the same as with the Lazy Explorer, but oh my goodness, it's you really have some freedom to use it now. This is the main reason why I'm using the moggles here. The telepoof makes moggles absolutely invaluable for the character, especially if you're down in the ruins when you can't see the entirety of your screen, because this means that I have the ability to pretty much soul hop to any area here that you can currently see on my screen. Whereas if you're using something like, let's say, a torch, you don't have the prompt to soul hop to those areas. So if you're down in the ruins or in the caves as Wortox, you're especially going to want to have the moggles available, because it's the way you'll be able to make the best use of the soul hop ability here. The other thing that I really like about Wortox is how he really frees you from needing a base, especially during the earlier parts of the game, because you don't have to worry as much about hunger, you don't have to worry about health. These are things that have been effectively unlinked from the base. I don't have to worry about grinding towards a boss fight, because I can just stock up on souls, and in most cases it will be enough health to hold me out throughout the whole thing. You can stock up to 20 souls before they fall out of your inventory, and each one of those is worth 20 health. As time goes on, I'm sure I'll figure out other pros and cons of playing this character, especially long term, but at the moment, that's where I am with Wortox. Thus far, I've been quite pleasantly surprised with the direction that Clay took this character in. It is definitely not just another generic character, and yet I don't think it is quite as questionably powerful as, for example, Winona and her catapults are, based on the new Winona rebalance. So that's my overview here of Wortox and why I personally love this character. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time.